You probably think cancer is a modern disease. You blame processed food, pollution, screens, sitting too long. And honestly, those things do play a role. But the real answer is much older than any of that. Much, much older. In 2016, a research team was studying fossils in South Africa. They found a foot bone, tiny, fragile, roughly 1.7 million years old. The creature it belonged to wasn't even our species yet. It was an early human ancestor, something that walked the earth before language, before fire, before anything we'd call civilization. And that bone had cancer, a malignant tumor, locked inside a fossil, sitting in the dark for almost 2 million years. That single discovery changed how scientists think about the disease entirely. Here's the thing though, finding cancer in ancient bones is actually really hard. Cancer mostly attacks soft tissue, organs, skin, blood. Soft tissue doesn't survive millions of years. It breaks down. It disappears. What we find in fossils is only a thin slice of what actually existed. Scientists call it preservation bias. We can only see the cancers that happen to touch bone. That's where mummies come in. Mummies preserve soft tissue. And when researchers started scanning ancient Egyptian mummies with CT technology, they found tumors, dozens of them. One major study scanned 137 mummies and found clear evidence of cancer in multiple individuals. Some of these mummies were thousands of years old, so it wasn't just bones. Cancer was showing up everywhere scientists looked. Ancient people noticed it too. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, written around 1600 BCE in Egypt, describes swollen tumors of the breast. The author's verdict? No treatment. That's a physician writing 4,000 years ago, already recognizing something he couldn't fix. Around 400 BCE, a Greek doctor named Hippocrates gave it a name. He used the word karkinos, crab. He thought the swollen veins spreading out from a tumor looked like crab legs. A Roman physician later translated that into the Latin word cancer. That's the word you still use today. So why was this disease showing up across every ancient civilization in history? Because cancer isn't caused by civilization. It's caused by cells. Here's how it works. Every time a cell in your body divides, it copies its DNA. And sometimes, rarely, but inevitably, that copy has an error, a mutation. Most of the time, your body catches it, flags it, destroys it, but occasionally a mutated cell slips through. It starts dividing without stopping. It builds, it spreads. That's cancer. Mutations are just part of being alive. The more cells you have, the more they divide, the more chances there are for one to go wrong. Dinosaurs got cancer. Ancient fish got cancer. Even trees can develop cancerous growths. Any organism with cells that divide carries this risk. But here's something interesting. Ancient humans probably did get cancer less often than we do today. Not because they were healthier, because they were dying earlier. Most prehistoric humans lived somewhere between 25 and 35 years. Infection, injury, predators, famine. These were the things that ended lives back then. Cancer is mostly a disease that shows up after 50. If you die at 28, from an infected wound, cancer never gets the chance. They also didn't smoke. They weren't exposed to industrial chemicals. They moved constantly. Their diet was whole, unprocessed food. These things genuinely reduced cancer risk. But it wasn't paradise. Smoke from cooking fires irritated lungs for decades. Parasitic infections caused chronic inflammation, a known cancer trigger. Sunlight exposure without any protection raised skin cancer risk significantly. They weren't immune. They just rarely lived long enough to see it. Today, the picture looks different. Modern medicine has pushed back the things that used to kill people young. Hundreds of millions of humans are now living into their 60s, 70s, 80s. That's the window where cancer develops. And we now have detection technology that can find a tumor the size of a fingernail hidden inside the body. Ancient doctors could only see what was on the surface. Most internal cancers went completely undetected, not because they didn't exist, but because nobody could find them. Understanding this history is actually changing how scientists approach treatment today. Elephants almost never get cancer, despite having bodies with far more cells than ours. Researchers discovered they carry extra copies of a gene called TP53, a powerful cancer suppressor. Scientists are now studying that gene to see if it can be used in human cancer treatment. The fossil record is also helping researchers track how certain cancers evolve over time, which conditions trigger them, which ones stay constant regardless of lifestyle. Cancer isn't just a medical problem, it's an evolutionary puzzle, and its ancient history is part of how we solve it. A 1.7 million year old bone, a tumor from a creature that had no name for what was happening to it. Cancer was there at the very beginning of the human story, and for the first time in all of that history, we actually understand what it is.